Hey, as we know, life is full of surprises, both good and bad, and the day-to-day journey is full of unforeseen obstacles, and sometimes it's hard for us to see our way through. Beyond the normal mundane or where unscripted dreams live, join us for thought-provoking discussions and interviews to help us navigate through the fog and create our own path. We are the Unscripted Dream Podcast, operating outside the margins to motivate and inspire our audience. Uh, yeah, what's up, people? Yeah, we made it to another episode. Can't stop, won't stop. No, I'm kidding. But the title today for our episode is Brand New Who's This? Brand New Who This? That's a common catchphrase there. Brand new who this? And it's exactly what you think it is. And for you people that don't know what brand new who this is, basically it implies a fresh start or a new beginning. So we're using it in a motivative form or motivative message for people who are seeking to make positive changes in their lives. So think of it, this episode as being that way. So it's a chance for you to start over, create a new identity for yourself, not fully, but in your own head or in your own mind, as far as like your thought process. So when you say brand new, who's this? Is more or less you thinking, uh, I got a new state of mind. I'm you woke up today and say you didn't had a bad few days or you've been having a bad year, 2023 just ain't your year, whatever the case. You wake up with a new state of mind, just letting you know that, you're going to fight back or you're going to make some changes in your life. So just look at it that way, man. Brand new who this? It's your opportunity to start new.
So, just want to start off this year. So, wherever you're at in life, there's always opportunity for a fresh start. Now, there might not be people from your old place involved in your fresh start because you know, might have burned a bridge,
They didn't got the boot or you got
got
the
to,
boot.
so that's possible. But it is possible, to reinvent yourself. And even, I guess one of the things I think about is that, like when I was in high school years and years ago, I hated how it ended. There's not a day in high school that I look forward to going. I'll probably say that 1,000 times. I hated every day. Every day I was in high school, I did not want to be there, but I knew that if I handle my business after I graduated, I would move on to something else. So I just knew that those 4 years of high school was just a season. And I knew that after I got out of there, I was going to have a fresh start of my choosing, depending on how well I did in high school, which I didn't go to the school I wanted to go to. I just went to the school that had the best package for me. So, but it was my choice. So, but thinking about if you're in a if you're in a situation right now, and it's like, well, I don't really like it here. You're at a job. I know I try to think of things like, yeah, like work, like jobs or something, or just being around groups of people in general. It might be your family, might be a group of friends, it be a group of friends or something like that. And you're just like, man, I can't wait to get away from these people. I can't wait to get out of this circumstance. And I think understanding that there's a bit of endurance that is required, I think, because you can't always, everything's not like a clean break. Like you can't just be like, all right, I want to leave and just get up and go, which is,
Life don't work without
yeah.
repercussions.
So, I mean, do that at your own risk. But I think it is possible to just have the mindset to kind of work to develop the mindset. There's something beyond your current circumstance, even if you're unhappy, but it does require, like, you have to do some level of work, or you have to exert some level of effort if you're trying to actually like enhance your
Or re
circumstance with those.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or you could say in lighter terms, reinvent yourself if you feel that's necessary.
Yeah, I think so. But that's just initially, just yeah. I mean, it's you can make mistakes. You can make mistakes. Hopefully, some of them are repairable. But yeah, it's definitely possible. I think I want to keep that in mind. Is that it's definitely like you could spend 60 years of your life being a turd, and day 60 plus 60 years day one, you're like, it'll be less turdy for these, next however many years you have, and then you kind of live that life. But like I said before, you might have
So you're trying to say someone had a come into Jesus moment and realize
Yeah.
all the stuff they
I've s
did was just not acceptable?
Yeah, I think that happens a lot. Like, you live a life and then you have these regrets, and you look at your past experiences and you think that, "Hey, this coulda went like, things could have been a lot different," but, yeah, you've probably burned some bridges along the way. You might have it's people who get, like, disowned by their family or disowned by friends and people like that, and then they don't like, because things went down so poorly, you've burnt those relationships are done, but
Yep.
you can cultivate new relationships on better terms with other people. So it's not like, yeah, some things are irreparable. I'm not gonna lie, but like there's things this you're done. All right. But no, I just want people to know, like, regardless of how old you are. I watched this video the other day, it was these guys, it's like this prison, it's like these guys with cats. And these probably like murderers and stuff, killers and stuff. These guys are like I guess if you behave well enough, you get a cat. These guys are building like shelving for their cats. They are cuddling up with their cats and stuff. And these are people who you would think would just terrorize you. I don't know what their crimes were, but their behavior was positive enough to where they earned the ability to have a cat, which would rather probably be a stray on the street somewhere, So, but they showed through actually this process that these guys are actually these prisoners were actually able to have a cat, take care of it, use their rations, and actually work and behave well to kind of take care of this animal that provides them a level of companionship. And I was like, that's pretty significant because these are people that you probably thought wouldn't care for a soul, another soul, but here they are making sacrifices, maybe making changes to engage in behavior and actually like care for another living creature. So it's possible, regardless of your background, your circumstances. It's all about if you want to kind of turn your life around.
Well, I mean, that's all in the process of self-discovery, right? When you think of self-discovery, it's all about the process of becoming a brand new person. I mean, you're really not a brand new person, but the whole concept is like, okay, I finally really know what I want to do or how I want to portray or how I want to live my life. So at this point, you know, that's what self-discovery is. And, this can be a motivating factor for people who seek to better understand themselves in their role or place in your life or place in many other people's life, basically their place in the world. Yeah, we all went through that process. I can say that I went through that process a couple of times. I didn't really label it as reinvention. I literally labeled it as self discovery because high school Joe wasn't on the same or wasn't on the same level as college Joe, and college Joe wasn't on the same level as professional Joe, and young professional Joe ain't the same as young professional Joe 2.0. So, so, so so often, and I like to tell people about every 5 years, I would say every 4 to 5 years, your state of mind changes. So the hobbies that you have for this period of 4 to 5 years, it's very likely you're going to be introduced to something totally new that you're going to like. I know we talked about this before, but this rings true. When I was in school, I never had sushi, avoided it, never was interested. When I went to college, had sushi, was like, that's okay. Left college, love sushi. You get what I'm saying? Like over time, your perspectives change as well as your taste buds. But your perspective definitely changes over time. And that's part of self discovery. Some of the things that you used to like just don't do it for you no more. That's okay. That's just no different than you having a relationship with somebody and the things that they used to do for you and the things you used to do for them has ran its course. It's the end. It's time for you guys to rehash or have new experiences, and that's just a process of life. So don't be afraid to reinvent yourself. You don't necessarily have to say brand new who's this, and that can come off arrogant depending on who you're talking to, or disrespectful.
I've never heard that before. That whole phrase. It's a first for me.
Well, I've heard it multiple times in different fashions, and for the most part, it's really silly, but it
Oh, okay.
sticks. it sticks. Brand new, who this? This it sticks. No different than you getting a new cell phone and someone call you and you don't know their number because you didn't save
Oh
it.
man.
You're like, brand
Yeah.
new, who's this? So,
Yeah. So there was this there was this Steve Harvey. I was listening to something he
oh,
said, and
this guy, okay.
he mentioned he said some good things. I'm always that's a whole nother topic, but regardless of what you might think about that, man,
He say some intelligent
he
stuff.
says some good things. I don't have issues with Steve Harvey. Actually, I was wondering how much what he was doing. I was like, why is this man working so much, man? He was on the
He was
he was
everywhere.
he was fighting for his life. But I was listening to one of his one of these clips that he was talking about like to grow, you have to go. Like sometimes to grow, like you have to leave. You have to remove yourself from your, your current circumstances. And leaving isn't always like leaving sometimes is a mindset. So if you've ever like fallen out with a group of friends or you seen somebody like I remember I would hang out with people and then you always had, I don't know, but you always had, I was never like I was always pretty mild. Like I didn't get like I really wasn't getting in trouble like that. Like that stuff just no sir. No sir.
Yeah.
All right. But you would always have a friend that take a little bit more risk. They take a little bit more risk. It's like maybe one of your funner like your funner friends too, because that's just how they get down. But then they would always do so. Like you would hang out with them one time, and then they would just take it too far. Like they would just not be like, it was all good till you went over. I mean, you was already on the edge, but then you just like flew out the window. Like you just went, like you just took it to a whole nother level. And it's when you see that, and I'm sure a lot of people listen to this to understand what I'm saying, is that in that point, you kind of are like scratching your head, like, is this friendship worth it? Because you start to see the risk that this person is putting you in. And if you're smart, you're like, well, probably won't be hanging out with them as much. Or if you hang out with them, it's not just gonna be you and them, it'll be like a group of people or something like that. Cause you realize this person is putting all the like they're your friend, you realize that this person is taking some risk, or they're just doing or they're just bringing like they'll go do something stupid, and then they'll come back and you just hanging out with them, but they bring in the heat, like the heat with them,
And
and
you
it's
don't
like,
know what's
nah,
going on.
it's like, nah, I can't. You can't do it. You have to create that distance for yourself. And I think it's one of those things where it's difficult to do. I'm sure Joe. I'm pretty sure Joe's had to do this at some point, but it's just, I think it's part of just maturing and understanding. It's just kind of what path you want to go down. And like it's guilty by like that guilt by association. Like sometimes that be minding your business. Somebody, I'm going to come sit next to you, somebody, somebody snap a picture, something. And now you just an associate on some nonsense. I'm like, I'm sitting there eating chicken nuggets, listening to my iPod or something, listening to Jeezy or whatever. And somebody just come sit next to you and you getting jammed.
Oh, you
You
catching
just,
a Rico? Oh, okay.
and something crazy like that. But that's how things can
That's
happen
how it works.
when you make a decision to associate with certain people when like when you actually know that like they bring like I said they bring in the heat with them wherever they like wherever they so um you just have to be mindful in that sense and be
Absolutely,
careful
man.
be careful.
You know, Marcus, as you know, with you being an inner city kid, and I like to reveal myself as such as well. It's very easy for us to fall victim to inner city woes, I'll say. There's definitely been situations where I was in high school and I knew kids that stole cars. And, I knew I was smart enough to know not to get in the car with them or ride with them just because I know they'd be on some hot stuff. And I was like, I have no chance of literally, I have everything to lose. So when you have that type of mindset, you already knowing that some people, man, you gotta love from a distance. And lo and behold, man, a couple of times, especially that one time where I was supposed to hang out with one of my buddies, got jammed up and it pretty much laid out the rest of his life for him. It wasn't necessarily nothing violent, but as anyone knows, when you go to jail or you get locked up and you get out, you're labeled. Not only are you labeled, what people don't realize is when you go to prison, you don't go to prison to most people that go to prison don't go to prison to go on a straight path. Usually they go to prison and they educate themselves on how not to get caught even more. So it just takes you down a whole rabbit hole of crime, unfortunately. So like once you're labeled, you're pretty much locked into that, unfortunately. So I made a couple right decisions at a very young age, which is very unfortunate just because you being so young, I feel like certain things shouldn't impact you, especially if you're not doing any actual harm to people. But I mean, that's just the way of the world, man. And you, unfortunately, you gotta be blessed with the right upbringing or have the right person around you to lay hands on you so they can guide you or shelter you to the right path. So I'm not trying to steer away from the episode, but I'm just letting people know, like, hey, man, I've been in multiple situations where I could have got jammed up or should have been jammed up, and it didn't. That just didn't happen for me because I was smart enough to see it coming a mile away.
Some people are reckless. They're reckless and they're not really thinking about other people. But I guess just, man, closing just on my end, uh, just be mindful of people with limiting thoughts for you and limiting thoughts for themselves. Sometimes I think no friends are better than bad friends and,
Absolutely.
and bad acquaintances and people. I say, some people, they don't believe what you believe because they don't think it's possible for them. But that doesn't mean it's not possible for you. And sometimes creating that distance, that's just what's required. It's the hard thing to do. Those aren't easy. It's not easy to kind of go into isolation and do your own thing. But when you start to move in a certain direction, you start to attract more like-minded people that are actually doing things that are positive. And you'll find people that would kind of escape the similar circumstances that you escaped. It's just you have to kind of raise the bar for yourself so you can have a different vantage point and start to attract people to you that are actually like about something that won't result in them going downhill. Is a nice way to say it, but not kind of close on that is just things to be mindful of.
Well, hey, man, when you think of the concept of the Wizard of Oz or the Oz, whichever one you've seen, or maybe you haven't seen those movies, but the whole concept is, man, that you're going down this road, yellow brick road. That's the journey. Like that's your path, your life path. So as you go down there, you run into all kind of things as you're passing through. You might be passing through certain towns. So let's say that those are certain storylines or parts, moments in your life. So say that high school is a town. So you're passing through high school. Now you're passing through college. Now you're passing through whatever life circumstances that hit you, like career points. So when you look at it that way, in that time that you're going down those roads and traveling through those towns, you're going to meet people, right? And just like with anything, you're never alone unless you intentionally choose to be alone. And if you play it right, you're gonna have a flock of people with you at all moments. You're never gonna be fully alone. There's gonna be points in your life where you're gonna have like you might be 30 deep, and then there's gonna be other points in your life where there ain't nobody around. You can hear an echo on your journey, and you just gotta understand that that's just the way how things. That's just how the cookie crumbles, man. And you just gotta understand that nothing's permanent or nothing's final until you make it that way. And as long as you know that, I feel like that's how you can go back to the title of this episode, brand new, who's this? Like at any point in time in your life, you can really like steer this ship and direct your path however you want to. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. There's not many parameters outside of a physical aspect of where your mind can travel, where you can brainstorm on how you can get there. So as long as you're on point mentally and you know what you want to do and what you want to go after and what kind of company you want to keep and stuff like that through experience, you will learn that. you shouldn't have any problems navigating through life. It's just all about you processing and understanding when your time is up or when other people's time is up, and understanding when you should move forward, when you should wait a minute. You know, I had a conversation with one of my professional leaders actually today, and he was just telling me about the market and how like there's layoffs happening left and right, and naturally so in my profession there's layoffs going on. Um, and he was just basically talking about how some people are upset because they're not up for promotion, and he's just like, man, they totally negated the whole idea that they might not even have a job. So it's crazy how younger generations, including mine and down, so 30s and down, where we think that everything works on our time when absolutely it doesn't. Sometimes it does pay to listen to some of these older people that have been around for a minute, and they tell you to kind of grind it out because they see way more than what you do. You might think that you got the worst setup ever. And when you talk to someone with some knowledge and some game on them, they realize like, bro, you sitting on a coal mine. All you gotta do is rock this out. Everybody about to retire in 4 to 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like you about to shoot up the ladder rather than saying like, hey man, I'm not making enough money. I need this money right now. So you move on to something else and you realize that that situation wasn't as gravy as you thought it was. So, or you could have just possibly been having more if you just waited that extra year or two. So what I'm trying to say, man, is it's great to be brand new who it is, but put a limiter on yourself, put some parameters as far as like build some structure around yourself. And how you do that is simply just literally deciding and having to sit down with yourself, knowing what you want to do and how you want to do it. And then everything else can just fall in line once you put that action in place. That's where the brand new who this comes. When you have an actionable plan and you're actually acting on it. That's brand new who's this. Not just deciding, oh, I just feel brand new. No, there's got to be action behind that. But that's our time, man. I'll talk to y'all folks later.
Yep, so